Hello class 9th. Today in this video we will continue the same chapter, that is your respiratory system in biology. Okay, let's start the chapter. Now children, today in this video we will learn about the capacity of lungs, right? And hypoxia, what is hypoxia, what is asphyxia, and experiments to demonstrate the role of diaphragm. Okay, let's start with first capacity of lungs. Now capacities of lungs are as follows. First is your tidal volume. Actually, what is tidal volume? It is actually the air which we breathe in and breathe out in a normal quiet breathing. In simple, when you are simply sitting, that time how much air you breathe in and how much air you breathe out, that is actually called tidal volume, and it is about 500 ml. And out of this 500 ml, 150 ml remain in the trachea and bronchi, okay, where no exchange of gases takes place, no diffusion of gases occur. And 350 ml of tidal air, it is contained in air sacs, means it reach to alveoli. Alright, now next is your inspiratory reserve volume. Actually, this is a volume of air that can be drawn in forcibly over and above the tidal air. Means when you are forcibly breathe in, okay, that air which can be drawn in forcibly and above the tidal air, that is your how much 3000 ml, right? When the volume of air which can be breathed in forcibly is called what? Inspiratory reserve volume. Now what is inspiratory capacity? So total volume of air a person can breathe in after a normal inspiration is called what? 3500 ml, because 500 ml is your tidal volume which you can breathe in or out in a normal quiet breathing. Okay, and 3000 ml is your forcibly is the amount of air which can be which you can take in forcibly over above the tidal air. So total inspiratory capacity is actually what? Total volume of air a person can breathe in, that is your what? 3000 ml. Now next is the expiratory reserve volume. Expiratory means expelled out. Okay, air that can be forcibly expelled out after normal expiration is about how much? 1000 ml, right? And what is vital capacity? The volume of air that can be taken in and expelled out by maximum inspiration and expiration, means the max is a total volume of air that can be taken in and expelled out, that is inhale and exhale by maximum inspiration and expiration is how much? 4500 ml. How? Because you know 3500 ml is the total inspiratory capacity and 1000 is your expiratory reserve volume. So total is your what 4500 ml is called what? Vital capacity, means it is a volume of air that can be taken in and expelled out by maximum inspiration and expiration. Now what is residual volume? Some air is always left in the lungs even after forcibly breathing out. When you forcibly breathe out, still some of the air remain in the lungs, and that is about what called residual volume of air, and it is about what? 1500 ml. So what is the total lung capacity? That is your maximum air which can at any time be held in two lungs is about how much? 6000 ml. Means first is your this is your 3500 plus 1000, that is your what? 4500 ml is your vital capacity, and 1500 ml what remain, what it left in the lungs even you forcibly breathe out. So total is how much? 4500 plus 1500, that is your 6000 ml. So what is the total lung capacity? This is your what? 6000 ml, right? Next is your effect of altitude on breathing. all of you know, when the altitude increase, when the height increases, then atmospheric pressure decreases. Means what air is the oxygen is also become less and less when you move high in the mountain. So what is saying? At about 4,500 meters above sea level, one suffer from mountain sickness. Why? Why? Because when you move when you go high, in high altitude, what's happened? The atmospheric pressure decreases, so volume of air oxygen is also decreases, and it is characterized by breathlessness, headache, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and mental fatigue, and bluish tinge on the skin. When the skin become blue, and even complete blackout, and this condition is called what? Hypoxia. So why hypoxia caused? Because actually it is a condition in which availability of oxygen to the body, the total oxygen which is required by the body is lesser than the required amount, is called hypoxia. So what is hypoxia? Condition in which availability of oxygen to the body is lesser than the required amount is called hypoxia. And asphyxia is actually, it is also known as suffocation. When you feel suffocation, when there is more carbon dioxide and less oxygen. Actually, the condition in which deficiency of oxygen to the body is accompanied by the increase in carbon dioxide concentration in the blood. When in the blood, the concentration of carbon dioxide increases as compared to oxygen, then this condition is known as asphyxia, or it is also known as suffocation. Right? Now look at this experiment. Actually, it is an experiment which is demonstrating the role of diaphragm in the breathing. All of you know, diaphragm is a thin membrane which separate out our body cavity into two parts. The upper one is called thoracic cavity, and lower one is called abdominal cavity. So what is the role of diaphragm in breathing? Actually, this what this apparatus is showing our thoracic cavity. So you just set up this experiment as shown in this figure and make sure that the setup is airtight. Okay. In this experiment, the various parts are correspondent to the breathing system in man. First is this is your bell jar. This bell jar is correspond to our thoracic cavity. What is it? This is your thoracic cavity. Okay, this white tube, I think, what is this white tube? It is comparable to the trachea. This is your trachea, and these two are bronchi, right? Then what is there? These are two balloons are there. These balloons, they are correspond to the lungs, and this rubber sheet is tied, which is tied round the bottom edge of the bell jar. It is comparable to the diaphragm. So if you compare your thoracic body cavity through this experiment, just so what is it? This is your thoracic cavity. These are lungs. These are bronchi, and this one is your trachea, right? And this is your diaphragm. So what's happened? When you now pull the rubber sheet, you take you pull this rubber sheet downward. Then what's happened? When you pull it, then what's happened? Air rushes inside this bell jar. And what do you observe? That these balloons, what's happened? These balloons are inflated, or they become distant. Whereas when the rubber sheet is pushed upwards inside this bell jar, then the balloons, they become, what's happened? They again deflated and they collapse. So what is your inference or result? That the balloons, they get inflated or distant when the rubber sheet is pulled down. Because when you pull down this rubber sheet, then it increases the volume of bell jar, and pressure increase, pressure become decreases. Then in this state what's happened? The atmospheric air which is at higher pressure as compared to the bell jar, it rushes into the balloon through this white tube, and then these balloons they get inflated. Means when you breathe in, when inspiration takes place, then what's happened? This diaphragm move down, so the volume increases, and when volume increases, pressure decreases, right? And the air rushes inside the through this trachea into your lungs, and the lungs they filled with air. Now when the rubber sheet is pushed upward, the volume of bell jar decreases. When the volume of bell jar decreases, then what's happened? The pressure increases. And when the pressure increases, then what's happened? When the pressure increases in the bell jar as compared to the atmospheric pressure, air from the balloons, it rush out. It rush, okay, out. And what's happened? These balloons, they get deflated, right? Exactly. Actually, similar is the act of breathing, in which volume of thoracic cavities increase and decrease alternately, and resulting in the inspiration and expiration takes place.